All right, it's preparing to live stream the meeting. I'm going to click out of it, and then we're going to begin the recording.
Assalamu alaikum, my fellow brothers. I don't want to be rude.
Walaikum salam, black man. I think I have the pleasure of meeting you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Brother Allende from Rochester.
AKA YBG Prince of Young Black Gods, LLC.
Assalamu alaikum. Honored to meet you, black man. Honored to meet you.
Likewise.
All right, it's preparing to live stream the meeting. I'm going to click out of it, and then we're going to begin the recording.
Assalamu alaikum, my fellow brothers.
All righty, and record to this computer, and we are live. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Kareem Talks. I'm your host, Kareem. It's Sunday. It's the last Sunday of the month, so we're finishing this month out strong with a wonderful episode based on the conversation, which we all love to talk about, hip-hop. And this particular episode, I wanted to bridge the gap between two generations. The generations of those that started and those who are here now, carrying the torch. Although some don't like how the torch is being carried. So I can't start this without introducing all of my guests who are all in the field of hip hop. Starting first with New York / Miami, because that's where he is now. The one and only brother Nkosi, aka Elohim the Anomaly. Follow him on IG at Elohim the Anomaly. How you doing today?
I'm well. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for having me. I appreciate the look. Elohim the Anomaly, Liquid Shield is in the building.
Liquid Shield. Praise be to Allah. And branching to the other side, all the way from Rochester, New York, representing his study group and Young Black Gods, brother Allende, aka YBG Prince, member of YBG founders Allende and brother Tadar. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you for
After
having
just
me.
having you last week, back at it again.
All praises due to Allah. It's always an honor.
A staple at this point. I can't tell you how many episodes he's been on already.
Not on purpose either.
But when I tell you, the man is clutch. The man is clutch. Praise be to Allah, my bro for life. And of course, you can't talk about hip hop without a DJ being present.
That's a fact.
All the way from ATL, the Deep South. Ladies and gentlemen, Brother Vaughn, aka DJ Rockwell, welcome to the show.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. Play my record, please.
Well, Lego Salam, play by it. That's how
Already.
That's how we're doing it. It's gonna be a lot of. There's gonna be a lot of promo on this episode. I can feel it in my bones. We're gonna have two artists and a DJ on this episode. There's gonna be a lot of promo. But let's get into it because we have an hour essentially, and I wanted to start off with this first question. What are how would you compare and contrast the hip hop of today versus how it was back then? What are the similarities and what are the differences? I'm going to start off with Nkosi. Since you come all the way from New York, where hip hop basically started.
Well, first of all, back then, I was born in 1978, so it's not like I was born time enough to help birth hip hop. So basically, from the late 90s, I was already in Florida by then, and that's when I really started rapping. So I can tell you about from then and from a hip hop in Miami perspective. from an artist who had moved here from somewhere else, which is typical for Miami. And so the way it was here was there was no hip hop here. There was bass music, and there was people who liked West Coast music, but basically just an audience and not really a lot of people making music that was reflective of Miami. You know, there was no Miami sound because there was no rap music on the radio at all. You know, and so people like your father and Science Room were my big homies, and so they really worked hard to get rap music on college radio first, on at the University of Miami, Florida International University. You know what I mean? That's where I pushed a lot of my records when I first started. Was on college radio first, as was the way things were done at the time. You know, before we tried to get on mainstream radio. 99 Jams did not play rap music at the time. Hot 105 did not play rap music at the time. There was no 103.5 The Beat. And so it was basically the building stage of, making an imprint just in the genre here time when it started.
So there was no hip hop culture established in Miami, is what you're saying.
No, we had to establish it ourselves. So we would have to bring music from wherever like I said, I'm from New York, so my father's in music. My father's a musician, and so I always had access to music from where I'm from. So, just to listen to as a listener. And then when DJs needed records, I would connect them to the right record pools, what was popping at the time. Then when I would start running with DJs, make sure that, they at least try to represent somebody from Miami while they playing out of state records. For instance, Society is from Miami. He had a real East Coast sounding record at the time that actually Luke put out. You know what I mean? And
Luke Skywalker, for those of you who don't know.
Uncle Luke put the record out. And so when Society dropped, that was the real foundation for me as far as what I was hearing coming out of Miami with that. You know what I mean? Their own sound. It was from Miami, so it wasn't like it was a bite or nothing like that. It was just dope. You know what I mean? And it was coming from Miami. So for me, that was the first thing I saw that was dope and got on the radio and got some play. Like I said, and that was just on college radio at the time. Not on mainstream radio at all. Things we had to do to get records played on mainstream radio, like paying, program directors and tastemakers and personalities and DJs to play the records in the club and all of that. Put it on mixtape and so on, to get on mixtapes, to get records produced in general, to get records promoted once you put it out. All of that. There was no, like in New York at the time, like if you could rap and you get with the right crew and somebody was dope, there was a chance that you would get signed at the time. You know what I mean? There was none of that happening in Miami. You have to leave here to go get signed somewhere. You know what I mean? There was nobody to sign you except Luke. And you know what I mean? That was before Sleep Fly even existed. You know what I mean? Or was really doing their thing. That was before Po' Boy Records, Slip and Slide, Maybach, obviously. So,
wow.
Now, you see Love and Hip Hop Miami, and it's kind of a distorted view. It's a one-sided view of what the history of Miami hip hop is. You know what I mean? Miami got different sections, different, like every city. It has different sections, and so you have a different makeup, especially here. And you have so many people from so many different places speaking different languages. In fact, that to have a myopic view of the city being presented by one group of people is laughable. You mean to think that everybody came from the same part of Miami and rap the same way and represent the music the same way is laughable, because if you listen to my music, nobody would ever come from Miami. You know what I mean? I don't really get that. You know what I mean? So, you know, like Rep Man, you know, he's saying it all in the records, but you know, but as far as what people would say Miami music sounds like, I don't get really stamped like that.
Wow.
I never have, so you know, it's not new.
All right, well, thank you for that answer. Am I echoing on someone's side?
A little bit.
Mic check.
Good.
Okay. All right, got to make sure. Same question for you, DJ Rockwell. You're a DJ, so you played all types of music at this point. What would you say are the similarities and the differences between the music you came up on and the music today?
First of all, brother, thank you for having me as a guest on your show. I appreciate the invitation.
Hold on. Before you answer the question, everyone make sure their mics are on mute. Hold on, I'll mute everyone except the speaker. All right, go ahead, DJ Rockwell.
Oh, that's much better. I was saying, first of all, thank you, brother, for having me on your show. I appreciate the invite, and it's an honor to be with you today, big brother. In answering your question, I think I'll start with what's common.
Mm-hmm.
My view on this question has evolved a lot as I have been growing up and as I have been a DJ. What we have in common is that the motive and the drive comes from the same soul. We're talking about a music that's made by us, Black people, people of color, the original man. And we all may be coming from a different era, but the game hasn't changed. The condition of our people hasn't changed. So it's the source of it is common. The drug that people use today might not be the same one that they rapped about in my era, but the fact is still drugs. Women, still, it's the same women today as it was yesterday. It's the same subject. What has evolved is the way that we tell the story. After Police in 1988 is this, the concept is still the same today with rappers who rap about that subject today. Now it's just a different song with someone that's 25, 30 years younger telling the same story. So the energy is the same. Some of the subjects are the same. Here's what's different. The creativity, in my opinion. When I think about 1985 to 1989, let's say 1990 to 1995, this is what most of us will refer to as the golden era of hip hop. We really prided ourselves on originality. If MC so-and-so was saying blase, blase, blah on a record, we made it our business not to say what he said.
Because that was considered biting.
Exactly, and it was a cardinal sin. If you had such and such produce your record, I got to get such and such to produce my joint, because the object was to sound completely different from that guy. Whereas today, there seems to be a fear of originality. I'm paying attention right now to rappers like DaBaby, for example, who right now is hot. And I'm seeing his sound copied by every other rapper on the charts. Now you got established acts copying that sound. I heard a Nicki Minaj record copying that sound. I heard, I can't name all these now cats, but the sound is the exact same. And when I try to keep up with current hip hop, I'm like, this all sounds not a little alike, but identical. And nobody's gonna call this out. So that would be my observation when I talk about 2020 artists. That there seems to be a fear to step out there. So that would be my answer to that question.
All right, I'm putting you on mute briefly. Allende, same question, seeing as though you're the youngest of
Can you
everyone
repeat it,
here.
please?
Huh?
Can you repeat it, please? I'm sorry. I was taking
I'm
notes.
gonna repeat it. You're the youngest here. So you've listened to more of today's music, as well as the same music from our artists of today that you and I listen to, the more mature acts, as we like to call it. So what would you say are the similarities and differences between the hip hop of yesteryear and the hip hop of today?
I think, first of all, we gotta understand, and that was part of the notes I was actually writing down. You know, hip hop is only like in her 40s. She was born August 11th, 1973, on 1520 Sedgwick Avenue at a back to school jam party, apartment 102. Clive Campbell, otherwise known as DJ Kool Herc, was the DJ. Jamaican DJ, but because of the sound and the style and the way that he cut the records, of course, hip hop politics, they kind of like, as far as particulars, will be like, oh, Grandmaster Flash started doing that before he did, or oh, Africa Bambaataa did that. We just gonna say it started on that date, at that place, at that time. Whoever is the official, all right, you get brownie points for being the smartest in the room. Congratulations. But it started there. Like with any person, as you get older, you experience more. As you get older, you see things from different perspectives. The golden era of hip hop, I liken that to like when you're a young man, you know, around my age, and like you're early to mid 20s, you know, like you could play a game of basketball, eat a whole thing of pizza, and the weight won't go nowhere. Like, you know, you can do this. You could play this game, right? But as you get older, you can't do what you used to do. On top of that, you also get wiser. So maybe you might not be able to hit that jumper or slam dunk it like you used to. But if you got someone on your team that knows how to maneuver like that, as someone who's older and wiser, you know, I'm gonna just get the assist, right? The way that I comprehend hip hop, because I grew up listening to KRS-One, I grew up listening to Common back when he had sense. I grew up listening to
back when he had,
you know, Wyclef Jean, Brand Nubian. Like I grew up on that style of hip hop, if you will. The difference is the type of music that was made back then. We had the mentality to sell you something. A lot of times, and a lot of hip hop, not all of it, but a good amount, it came from like a drug seller's perspective, or it came from this perspective of, you know, don't follow the crowd. You know, a lot of rappers will say ride the wave or whatever. They were, like brother said, all about originality. Do your own thing. But our generation has become more docile, honestly, to where if you use someone else's flow, copy someone else's cadence, use the same instrumental, it's okay. As a matter of fact, it's gotten so bad, quote unquote, freestyles aren't even off the dome no more. Freestyles nowadays mean You write a quick 16 and you didn't edit it, but you still wrote it. So I think as the younger generation coming up, we've gotten too comfortable with the status quo. I think we've gotten wiser in our business, though. I would say that, because
social
marketing strategies, social media we have now, being able to follow based on numbers, the trend, and it's accessible to me, not the label. I can see it now. And now based on that, I'm saying, oh, I'm gonna move like this. I'm gonna move like that. I'm gonna do this instead of that. Me personally, I don't have a label. Like I don't maneuver under a label except for my own. Young Black Gods, LLC, YBG. That's what we do. But if Rockefeller or Rock Nation, or if Atlantic, Epic, if those people came to me, nah, because I studied the traps that some of the older generation has fallen victim to. Not all of them, but a good amount of them. They fell victim to the trap, the 360 deals, the oh, you just got signed, now everything is good. Actually, no, because the advance that you get from when you sign, what you think is millions is actually just 200,000. But they just show you the amount that they're giving you and not the amount that you get. So, I come from a very technical space as far as that question, but all in all, I would say I think our business got better. The pattern of the enemy as far as the music industry is the same, though. It heightened, like how the snake went from a snake to a dragon, from Genesis to Revelations. Same animal, different beast. So I think over time we've gotten smarter. Those who would stay wholesome or pure, quote unquote, in the sense of the art and the craft, we know who they are. You know, you have the J. Coles, the Kendricks, people who are very grassroots and took it to another level while still paying homage. Those are the people I associate myself with. But for our generation as a whole, we just have to do better, like brother said, with the originality tip, because it does. It sounds the same. And I'm not going to listen to the same BPM every day. Like, if your BPM is all 160, brother, what am I going to do with that? You know, like, that's just me, though. So that's how I would answer that.
I'm glad you all answered that one. I'm gonna unmute everyone briefly. Hold on. You all can unmute. So my next question would have to be, because I have to apply this to us in the Nation of Islam, especially those who are artists under this banner. With everything going on in hip hop now, how does this benefit or ill affect us as artists? Because you have some who want to be original, but they're having a hard time trying to make that headway. And then you have those who are sort of trying to conform, but it's not a representation of the teaching.
Can I go?
I could write a book on this question.
Yeah,
the floor is yours. We're gonna start. We're gonna start off with Allende, and then brother Nkosi, and then DJ Rockwell. I'm gonna mute. Hold on.
Yeah, overall, like, there's so many angles and there's so many perspectives, and it's not to say one is better than the other. We have to. I personally keep the mantra in the forefront of my head: accept your own and be yourself. If I am to do that, we're taught your own self is a righteous Muslim. So that's what we strive for, right? You can't propagate something that goes against your lifestyle unless that was never your lifestyle to begin with. So when it comes to music as an art form and music as a craft, it's hard for me to understand why it's hard for someone who says something that I don't hear reflected in their music. That tells me one of a couple things. One, either you're listening to the same 160 BPM, 180 BPM type music, and you haven't connected to the root, which makes you a branch with no leaves and no fruit, or you need to ask yourself some serious questions. Because at the end of the day, you can't tell me that, oh, you know, if I don't rap a certain way, or if I don't, you know, execute things a certain way, then I'm not gonna get. Who told you that lie? We have brother Danique, who's doing numbers on Instagram.
Golden Child.
We have Golden Child. He was on my song Riot, but Golden Child surpassed 50 streams in barely a month for his EP, and he was spitting nothing but the truth. And I think what we have to stop doing as artists, we have to stop thinking that there's one set way to do something. There isn't. If there was one set way to do something, then everybody would reflect that one way and we would all be the same person, and we're not. Everyone has different perspectives. Everyone has different life paths and journeys. So as an artist, it's our duty to reflect, yes, the times, as Nina Simone said, but also reflect what is true to us and our lifestyle. And if your lifestyle is that of peace, that of truth, you should have no problem reflecting yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? So, and at the end of the day, again, that's why I say connect back to the root. You can't claim to be the fruit of something if ain't no roots where you are. You see what I'm saying? So, like, I'm a fruit. Why? Because I'm connected to my root, not just of hip hop, but of who I am. I know that my people were brought over here from an area where we were more than just niggas. We were kings, we were queens, we were gods. So with that mindset as well, again, Young Black Gods, YBG, I'm not interested, LLC, thank you. Mm-hmm. I'm not interested in following people. I have my own. And that's what we have to get back to, specifically in the nation, but also in general.
All right. Praise be to you. You can unmute now, brother Nkosi, because I definitely want to ask you this question. Let me ask you to unmute, and yeah. How does everything happening in hip hop now, with today's generation especially, how does that benefit or ill affect artists who are in the Nation of Islam, who are afraid to go under the banter NOI Muslim?
Well, praise be to Allah. Young Black Gods LLC, log on, right? First and foremost, that was well put. Secondly, in the Nation, what I noticed, because I wasn't always a Nation rapper, I was rapping before I became registered. So my perspective on like doing the music is kind of different, because like the brother said, if you're not living the teachings, then it's not going to reflect in your music. So it won't matter what beat pattern you on, if you're trying to make a dance record, if you're trying to make a ballad, it's still not going to reflect in what you're saying, right? The whole feel of it will be different. Mm-hmm. But I noticed in the Nation, and brothers who are and sisters who are rapping and making music in the Nation, is first and foremost, I think a lot of us presume we'll get the support of the Nation. as listeners.
Boy.
And I need
Boy.
everyone to understand this right now today. If you think that joining the Nation of Islam or being an artist in the Nation of Islam is like getting the automatic listening, an automatic audience, like you just signed a record deal, you should really rethink what it is you're doing. Because A, that's not the way it works. And B, if you were gonna switch up, you was gonna switch up if you was a lost found anyway.
Damn.
So I suggest a sucker be a sucker all the time. And
boy.
out
Put
of
that on a shirt.
on some real. Okay, so I don't like that approach because I see things as somebody who came into the nation who was already doing music.
Right.
You know, I couldn't, I'm rapping like a Muslim now, so now the Muslims are like me. You know what I mean? So now they should follow me and they should support me and they should buy my music and so on and so forth. That's corny. Right? So to switch up and then say, oh, well, now I'm gonna put the teachings to the side and put the Quran behind my back because that'll put me on is a sucker move, like I said before. You know, it was never in you, like the brother said, when you do that. That's called hypocrisy, and a hypocrite is the worst thing in the world. That's not just Quranic, that's everywhere. That's in your bedroom. If you can't look yourself in the face the same way you did yesterday as you did today, is because you know you switched up, and it doesn't matter how many other people know. You know.
You became a Judas.
Exactly. So that's always been my main point as far as artists in the nation. Don't put so much pressure on the nation. You know what I mean? On the believers. And secondly, I've always believed this. You'll get what you put into it. You know, you have to make quality music. You know, whack music is whack music.
I've always said this. You have all heard me say this. It does not matter whether you are in the Nation of Islam or not. If you are trash, you are trash. And I'm going to tell you to your face that you are trash. Have I done it?
Yes, sir.
Please continue.
I like to do it. I like to do it. But I don't have a lot of friends. So, you know, I don't have a lot to lose.
It's tough.
You know, and so the teachings, quite frankly, as a lyricist, make my life easier. Always gives me a good kicking off point when I don't know where to start. It's gonna be Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, and almost everything wraps with that. So, you know, if I say one thing to a believer that's rapping or making music, you know, take that from it. You know, but don't try to make the believers like your trashy music when you didn't, you know, you ain't put no production into it. You can't, you know, you offbeat, you know, the concept is whack, your logo is whack.
Essentially, you're asking someone to listen to Doodoo Butter.
Yeah.
Essentially.
And spread it.
And spread it. Good God Almighty. You teach it. You're teaching.
You know, and that's not fair.
It's not fair at all. It's not fair.
You know, so you know, everybody that's making music, make it for the right reasons. Like YBG said earlier. Do your music because you know it's dope. You heard it. Listen to the record before you make anybody else listen to it, for Christ's sake. Hop out the booth, you know, and don't even let the engineer play it. You're all sloppy.
Thank you.
You know what I mean?
Thank you.
Oh, man.
But I
The
think
shade being thrown. Good God Almighty. Oh, I can't wait to get to DJ Rockwell. Oh, man. Oh, man. Oh, man. All right, you know what? We're gonna let the DJ in. We gotta let him in, coach.
Yeah.
Gotta let him in.
Let him in, coach.
Yeah, because I bet you got some stories. DJ Rockwell.
I could write a book on this subject. Out of respect for the other guests, I will try to condense this response.
Oh no, and see, one thing about Kareem Talks, there's no filter here. There is no filter.
Okay,
this
now.
is going up. So speak your piece. Speak your piece.
Because the reason I say that, Kareem, because I have learned sometimes less is more. And I'm going to try to practice that today.
You're right. But speak your piece.
That I shall do. First of all, the brothers who just spoke just now have just given us the hallelujah gospel truth. And there's not much more that can be added to that, except I want to raise 2 points. Fear. Fear. You are brother blah, blah, blah X, and you rap. You just joined the nation 6 months ago. And you come in the door and you're trying to figure out, what do I do with this hip hop that I love? I got, CDs and records, and I came to the nation, but they ain't trying to buy my records in the nation. So what do I do now? So I go back and start selling records to the street. But I want to talk about message to the black man. I want to talk about how to eat to live. I want to talk about the Honorable Louis Farrakhan and the Messenger and Master Farad Muhammad. I want to, but will they buy it? I don't know. Should I? All right, so you go back to the studio and you start recording bitch, hoe, nigga, this, and man, the dope. Bitch, hoe, nigga, this, and I'm selling dope. Wait a minute. You just got your ex. But I'm trying to sell these records though, homie. See, what you don't understand is I gotta slide the medicine into the dog food. Stop.
Not medicine into the dog food. Oh no.
Stop.
No, sir. Flag.
So
oh man, that's tough.
In between those lyrics, then you want to talk about, and I bought a final call. Bitch, hoe, nigga, I'm trying to sell.
Not throwing the final call. Not throwing the final call.
So wait a minute, brother. So blah, 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 X. Where is your faith? If this teaching got you, don't you think you can get somebody else? If the teachings won you, why won't you pass it on to somebody else? You know why? Because blah, blah, blah X is seeking acceptance from the world he just left. We no longer have the obligation to be accepted by them. Our job is now to win them. Stop trying to jump in the mud and get somebody else out the mud. No, you got to stand on the bank and throw in a line and drag them out the mud. There are too many examples, Kareem, of rappers who have went multi-platinum and not representing that life. Too many examples I can name. When we talk about a Kendrick Lamar, when we talk about a J. Cole, when we talk about, hey, let's go back to 98, Lauryn Hill. Too many bars have been raised to prove that we can offer the people quality, intelligence, articulation, and something that's above the fray and win the people. But because of fear and our inordinate desire for acceptance, you decide you want to play in the dog bowl. Here's point number 2. I want to bring your attention to a rapper called Jay Electronica.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
Now, I was following Jay Elect pre his sign to Roc Nation. But let's say everybody didn't follow him. He has been up here lyrically even then. You all heard Exhibit C. You all heard Exhibit A. That was pre-Rock Nation. By the way, I wanted to shout out to Sister Starla Muhammad. I wrote a piece that got accepted and printed in the Final Call. In fact, a review of Jay Lex album. And that was a big honor for me. So thanks to the Final Call for running that piece about Jay Lex album. But here's the punchline that I want to get to. Jay Elect's marketing campaign, if you didn't see it, I got a screenshot because to me it was powerful.
Mm-hmm.
It was a picture of our brother in his FOI uniform on a billboard in Times Square.
Teach. That's a fact. That's a fact.
Someone needs to send me that.
I got you.
And I said, wait a minute. You mean to tell me he didn't put his pants halfway down his ass? He didn't have his hat like this? He didn't get the gold joints because this is time now. Now you're on the front stage. But instead, he puts on his FOI uniform. And that's on Times Square?
Gave them Jews a heart attack.
I don't want to cuss. They crapped in their pants because he put the teachings first. He put the culture, and that's the last point I want to make. He put the culture in front of the people. Stop hiding this beautiful culture that Allah gave us. Stop hiding it. It changed your life. It'll change their life. So, fear, answer number one, get over your fear and look at Jay Leck. We have more chance of reaching the people by giving them what they're unfamiliar with. We are taught in the lessons that opposites attract. If we have two pieces of the same kind of magnet, they don't work. We gotta be opposite, and don't be afraid to be opposite. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Can I add to that point real quick?
Please go ahead.
So, and while at the because the when he said that, talking about opposites attract, I already heard the whisperings of the slinking devil in the form of a fearful peer of mine, not anyone in particular, but just it's going in my head of, well, that's his style. I'm not Jay Electronica. That's his style. I'm more, all right.
You replace that with, I'm not the minister. I'm not supposed to.
You feel me? So when he says that, I agree wholeheartedly, first of all. Second of all, again, you have to be dope. Just because the Star and Crescent is on your shoulders don't mean that you know how to carry the weight of a government. Stop it. Stop. With that being said, if it's dope, that therein lies the attraction. Because the only difference with us is we're the opposite of what this world is. But to be opposite of something, yet weak in attraction, you don't yield a lot of attention. But to be opposite, but also attractive, in that, oh snap, this is something I've never heard before, but I don't hate it. I like this.
Got everybody on Twitter saying, Alhamdulillah.
Right, like I did a song where in the song it's like it was like a throwaway, but I said, if now it's now you want to scream God, now it's subhanallah, but if I got a nickel every time y'all fake the culture for the clout, I'd run out of room in my house. What are the odds? What do you mean?
Bars.
You're trying to put on a front like we don't see you. Like we can't hear that you're whack. Like you can't, it's not like, you know what I'm saying? Like you can't hide behind whack bars, bro. Or singing, because we're not just really, of course, we're talking about hip hop, but like just
Well,
music
yeah,
in
you
general.
in all
Like, you can't-
spectrums.
right,
all
that's in
spectrums.
everything. So, but especially hip hop, and you can't tell me that, oh, it's hard out here because, like brother said, Jay Electronica is here. So, not saying you gotta be, we're not robots. Find your niche, but understand what umbrella you are under. Understand where your loyalty and where your roots lie. Because if you're not firmly rooted, you ain't bearing no type of fruit, beloved. That's all. Time.
And I just wanted to add on to that. I mean, Jay Electronica is a wonderful example. Don't get me wrong, but even going back to GC, Golden Child. Golden Child is, in my eyes, one of the best examples of when the most honorable Elijah Muhammad said, and I quote, paraphrasing because I don't want to misquote, my fault. Don't think about how I'm saying it. Don't pay attention to how I'm saying. Pay attention to what I'm saying and put it in that fancy language of yours. Hip hop is a language. Hip hop is the language of the people. And it's a universal language. Because hip hop is not just in North America no more. You hear hip hop in Asia.
Exactly.
You hear hip hop in India. You hear hip hop in friggin' Australia.
Exactly. Also,
is,
let the record show, though the birthplace of hip hop is August 11th. If we wanted to be very, very, very technical and specific, the minister had made a statement in one of his lectures talking about a song that he made back in the 50s or I want to say 50s. And he said it was really rap. And I was like, wait, what? And I went back to that record. I forget the name of it, but I went back to that record and I listened to it. And the minister was rapping.
I'm going to need to hear that.
So
I'm going to need to hear
let me just say, with that being said, if you can speculate and come to the conclusion that the minister was the first rapper based on what he said, is he not in the seat of the Father at this current present time? And he was a rapper to an extent. If he's the first rapper, what does that mean about brother so-and-so X or sister so-and-so Muhammad who's in the nation? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The very man that we follow is our example because he did it. But it wasn't corny. It wasn't whack.
It was godhood.
It was godhood, but it was also catered toward that time. But it was himself. He was being himself. So that's all hip hop is: self-expression. In the way that you see yourself is how you project it. Now, if you don't see yourself in a certain light, that's not for me to decide. I'm just going to tell you whether it's trash or not. Because though you might be reflecting yourself, it might not be the best version of yourself. And we're taught to settle on the best part. So
we lost Brother Nkosi. I don't know what happened. Maybe his phone died. I don't know. We're coming on to the end anyway. I don't know if he's going to be able to make it back. But one, I wanted to thank you all to come on here. And I wanted to take this moment to shout out all of our dope ass artists in the Nation of Islam. Of course, YBG. Of course, the whole group of YBG, gang. New World, definitely. Golden Child, his brother Tyree Hakeem, their father Hashim Hakeem, who could not make it, unfortunately this evening. I said New World already, right? I said New World. Okay. New World. Havaka Mecca. Is that it, or Hakava Mecca? No. Havaka Mecca. What is it then? hold on, wait. I'm gonna unmute you. How is that pronounced? I hate butcher.
Heck of a Mecca.
Heck of a Mecca. Wow. Okay, that's dope. That's actually dope. Heck of a Mecca. That's one heck of a Mecca. That was good. That's good. So that sister, Kia Abdul, definitely.
Facts.
Kia Abdul, most definitely.
This is a whole generation of NY hip hop I don't know nothing about. Well, 80% of people you just named.
Most of them are on SoundCloud and Spotify now, getting streamed. Who else? Danique, like you mentioned. I don't want to leave Vino, Shakeen,
Badu, former AT Alien.
Who else?
Politically Oppressed. I know he's down in that Atlanta as well.
This one may be subject to controversy, but I have to shout out my father on here as well. Have to. Remember now, wasn't a fan of his earlier work, but I still stand by it to this day. His last mixtape that he put out, the one that he performed at Holy Day,
the one where he was in the all white and he
was rapping in Spanish. Yes,
that was in Atlanta, wasn't it?
That was Atlanta.
When I tell you,
Problem 13.
I had a love-hate relationship with your father's music, but when I heard him spit on that day, I had nothing but respect because he said it would be his last performance, and he just gave it his own. I was like, yo, I can't do nothing but clap because that's the OG. He set the tone. I'll never forget that night.
Allah's Apprentice. Allah.
My man.
360 we got. It's a bunch. Jasiri X, technically, yes, no.
He's closer to my era.
Yeah. Of course, Jay Elect. We claim Jay Electronica forever. We claim him forever.
We trying to claim Jay-Z too. He playing.
Come on, that part.
Playing game. It's so many. Elohim the Anomaly, who was just on here, of course. There's so many. There's so many. Up and comers and Wazir.
Yeah, I was about to say
Wazir, who made an entire song using tools. Wazir out of Houston, Texas.
Wrenches, a saw, a mallet, and
the bottom of a saw, a mallet.
He made
wrenches. That's what he used to make.
He used wrenches as a hi-hat.
Word.
Word.
But the bars were there. Like it wasn't just like he made a dope beat and then it was like, all right, but that's it. No, the song is bruh.
He went.
I'm trying to think of all the artists I've recently collaborated with.
So many. There's so many.
You said YBG, Tata.
Yeah,
is a part of that.
Yeah.
I know him.
Spoke to me either today or yesterday.
It's so many.
Bro.
I know.
Let me ask you all a question if I can, real quick.
Of course. We got 5 minutes left.
What critique do you all have for the NOI hip hop that came before you?
I can't really say too much, only because I was inspired to write by Brother Herman Muhammad, who died 1997, to my knowledge. That was the year before I was born. So I'm dating myself. But I grew up hearing dun, 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 dun. So like to me, that's the epitome of NOI rap. And
I got Herman stories for you, brother.
You know, I'm talking about
after this.
That's the epitome of my idea of NOI rap. Jay Elect to me takes that to a whole other level because he applies it to modern day time. He applies it to now there's streaming, now there's Spotify and Apple Music, and now we're figuring it out through this new lens.
That's what I would tell.
But like in terms of,
you have to modernize yourself.
Right.
Jay-Z didn't stay the same.
Exactly.
Jay-Z did not stay the same. Nas did not stay the same.
Exactly. So I don't have any critiques necessarily for the older generation as far as
you all can spit. There's no denying that. Not all of it. Because some people think saying actual facts over a beat is rapping. So no, to you all that do that,
it's not.
Get out of here.
It's not. Like, but I'm not gonna say there's no possible way. Perhaps there is, and I haven't found it because I'm not gonna arrogate. I know everything that there is to know about hip hop or what sounds dope. Music at the end of the day is still subjective. However, I'm not going to say it's good just for the sake of me saying that because you put the teachings in it.
No,
the teachings we're taught are an invincible truth when applied correctly.
Goes back to what I said, that quote from Elijah Muhammad.
If you use an invincible truth in an improper way, that doesn't negate the fact that it's improper just because it's invincible truth. No.
You end up
in the
like
proper context, then yes, it's received well. But outside of its proper context, no sir, no ma'am. But again, I can't say anything because he's as far as the farthest back I can go starts with him. Then you have brother Hashim Hakeem, who's still making music and is just a straight up OG. You know what I mean? So I think where maybe the line starts to get blurred in a sense, and I use that term very loosely, is again the business aspect. We have such a great, grand, rich culture, but no way to scale it that we have seen. The most recent and prominent figure that we know of that comes from where we come from is Jay Electronica. And even with him, sometimes it seems like he gets placed on a pedestal that is so unobtainable in the sense of I could just hit bro up in a text or in a call. You know, he's very deeply rooted in the spiritual, and it's almost like I can't get to that level, but I know he's still under the same umbrella. So me personally, I try to be, at least in my endeavors and in my creations, I try to be as relatable as possible in terms of networking, because I know sometimes that's what I feel from an OG. Like, damn, that's great, but like, I don't know what question to ask, if they're even going to be receptive to the question. I just, all right, I'm gonna just figure this out on my own. YouTube, come save me now. You see what I'm saying? So that would be my only critique in all honesty, because the culture, the bars, the everything is there. It's just how do we now scale it? Because we're not trying to stay here. We've been wandering in the wilderness for too long.
And I want to say this, and we're gonna end it. I want to say this. At the end of the day, like, of course, you're always gonna have your greats, the Rakims, the KRS-Ones, and all that. But you don't hear people listening to them now because they didn't modernize themselves. You listen to the lost tapes of not even the Nas's lost tapes. Listen to him on DJ Khaled's album. Not the last one with his son, but the other one, Major Key.
The one with album done?
Yeah.
The freestyle?
Nas album done. He took what we have, the teachings, put it on a dope ass beat and modernized. And you hear people quoting that Nas song. Jay-Z, 444 to me, and I stand by this, whether people disagree or not. 444 was what Black Album was to me when I first listened to it.
Alhamdulillah, run through them all. Hovey's home, all these phonies come to us. Come on. Yeah.
You just made your case.
You have to modernize. If you don't evolve, you're going to stagnate. That is the difference between a Jay-Z and a Nas
And a
and
lot
the
of
Rakim,
times,
and there's no disrespect.
a lot of times too, I think sometimes the older generation thinks modernizing is a form of conformity. And
No,
it's not.
definitely not.
So just because we're taught quick thinking, fast moving, right down
Right
to
down to the modern time.
So if we're to be in the modern time, let's modernize what we have. We're not changing it in the same way the minister didn't change the teachings of his father. But
Nope.
when you come to a point to where you need context, now you expand. We're not changing anything, but we're expanding it. Why? Because again, I'm going to use the same analogy. We can't wander in the wilderness forever. We're getting too big. We gotta now root ourselves in a specific location, in a specific place, and continue to grow. But there's giants over there. Kill them. Like, what are we talking about? Come on. God ordained it. You see what I'm saying? So
exactly.
I feel like we just have to match the mind, creativity, and business wise of the young people with just the pure wit
Essence,
and originality and essence of those who came before us. And when we do that and accomplish that and have that synergy,
basically you're God.
Not even the sky is
basically.
Yeah.
Can I say one last thing before you close out?
Of course. Go ahead.
I asked that question for a very specific reason.
Mhm.
I know that your generation is tired of hearing us critique you. I think, and I wanted to offer the platform, or at least the door open to hear you critique us. And I want to use that as a segue to say this as well. I opened the door to what's called the NOI Hip Hop Network. Essentially, what is all of the rappers across the nation all on one Facebook group where we exchange information. We utilize each other's resources. You a producer, I'm an MC. Oh, let me send you beats. And it's worked very well. We've mentioned Heck of a Mecca, for example, has taken beats from other producers in Atlanta. We got what we're trying to do is practice the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and pool our resources. But the thing is, in the network is only our generation.
Oh, snap. I saw the name pop up.
All of you all are missing from that network. So yes, I want to reach out my hand and say, hey, join this network, because we ain't going nowhere without you all. But what I'm noticing, and I wanted to ask that question to get feedback on this. I'm finding a small semblance of your generation that don't want nothing to do with us, like, you cast it's either because y'all are whack or we don't want to be associated with the old guard. We have valuable information to pass on to you.
Yeah.
Valuable information to pass on to you. Man, New World, I don't know which one that's coming on, but those are my brothers.
That's Brother Samad.
Yeah, man. Last point is this. A few years ago, I stepped out on faith and I said, I wanted every NOI rapper, let's get all and make history and take a photo together. Have y'all ever seen that photo floating around social media?
I don't know if I have.
Brother, it was at least 40 of us in this photo that we took in Detroit 3 years ago. And it's never happened before, and it hasn't happened since. But that photo didn't include anybody from your generation. So we have to figure out how to bridge this gap, which is why I'm so humbled and honored to be a part of this conversation today. That's all I'm gonna say, Brother Kareem.
Kareem, you're muted.
So sorry about that. Simi, you there? We see you, but we can't hear you. I mean, no, we hear you, but we can't see you.
This is Elohim. I don't know why you can't hear me.
His phone had died later. I figured that was the case. We're finishing up, but I definitely want to get some words from New World before we end. Cause
I don't know if his audio is connected.
Sim, you there? We can't hear you. Dang. Hold on. He went back out. All right, Mitch. There's two of you now. It's two, and one's connecting the audio. Which one is which?
Okay, am I on now?
You're on. I can hear you, but now we can't see you.
Okay, yeah, I have like that little privacy tape over my camera, so you would never see me no matter what.
Okay. Well,
my bad, brothers.
Yo.
I'm just getting off work and all of that good stuff.
Specifically for pride.
Salam alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Assalamu alaikum, Saman.
This DJ Rockwell out of Atlanta.
Man, love, DJ, love.
Salute.
we were about to close up, but I'm glad you came on here. I just want to get a few words from you because for those of you who don't know, New World, mainly like, of course, he was an artist in New World, but in my talks with him, he was mostly on the business side to New World, and I just wanted you to, if you could elaborate briefly on why that business aspect is needed for artists in the nation to thrive. I'm going to put everyone else on mute so you can speak on that briefly before we close out. But we definitely need to hear that.
Man, so let me just say that, DJ Rock was talking about, the older artists and the younger connecting, specifically in the nation. And I wouldn't even be able to have anything to share or any knowledge of the business side if it wasn't for Surah 7, aka Brother Kareem from the ranks. I don't know if y'all familiar with the ranks. Brother Arvance, Tim Six, just a lot of goats out of Chicago. Man, your god brother, who was like the main feature on my first album. But those men, I watched them navigate copyright law. I watched them navigate, the early versions of streaming, like through CD Baby and like, stuff like that. And man, they were doing that while like being full-time teachers at Muhammad University. So, seeing them and like the pitfalls and whatnot, it just got me very interested in how is it that Jewish agents, these Jewish label owners, all of these guys, Leor Cohen and people like 300 Entertainment, like how are they able to capitalize on a craft that if you ask them to spit a 16, they could never, but they're able to make millions of dollars off of our culture. So that became very, very interesting to me. And it showed me the hand of the enemy and how they really just control our talent, G. And I got tired of that. And when I was working with New World, Chicago, at the time when New World was coming up, labels were picking Chief Keef, Herbo, they picked Chance, they picked Vic Menza. And I just wanted to give my team a fighting chance in the midst of all of that. So me and New World, Elijah LaFleur, AKA Emmanuel, we would go to places all over the city, just handing out business cards, networking, just trying to find our way into little circles. You know what I'm saying? Me and D-Row would go on adventures. Me and D-Row would go to Hyde Park just to have breakfast so that I could point out to him the who's who of our city because I knew the faces and the names. And with a handshake, we was in there, I mean, I could go into detail, but I'd rather not.
Nah.
Yeah, but the business, the grassroots side of the business, like the boots on the ground aspect, I did that heavy, and that wasn't even enough to scratch the surface of playing in the big leagues because there are real, there's just a lot of different things. But with what has happened since then, with the breakout of streaming, the breakout of, just people like Chance doing big label projects with, he had backers, but none of the main backers, no Warner Brothers, no Sony. Like doing it like that wasn't popular until like in the last 10 years. So now that that's even possible and, you can actually make money and all of these things, artists like the ones that we breed in the Nation of Islam who are super anti-establishment, they're not going to say the popular message. They're not going to talk about the Chanel or the Birkin bag, like whatever, to get some radio play. Like, because we want to put a message in what we say, now we can actually get dollars in exchange. And it all comes from just studying and reading and learning. I can't stress this enough for anybody who watches this. start learning about copyright law. Music and musicians were not getting paid before copyright law was written. And Jewish attorneys literally made up some ideas about how you should get paid and then took that to their buddies and legislator, and that became real. And now those rules don't exist anymore. So these people are trying to make you play by rules that you don't even have to play by. All you need to do is educate yourself on the power of your copyright. What is a performance royalty? Learn the meaning of a performance royalty and how to get one without using Sound Exchange, without using, these big ticket people. I could go on about, getting paid to perform and all of that good stuff, but these are things that most artists, they don't care to learn because they feel like it dampens their passion. And there has to be somebody from your camp that's passionate about that, because if it's not, then you open up for someone who doesn't love you, who doesn't care about your craft, who doesn't care about you even as a person. They look at you as a dollar amount, and they're going to step in and tell you, oh, you're not worth enough. Or they're going to step in and tell you, yeah, we could do that for you, $10,000, when you could have did it for yourself and paid nothing. So, that's kind of where my passion for the business comes from. I saw my brothers coming up in a world that was a shark eat shark world. So I had to grow up and become a shark overnight, pretty much. Man, Kareem, you already know, I told you about the situation where we took a multi-$1,000 L.
Yeah.
But, I mean,
it's
that
tough though.
happens.
Y'all grew from that.
Man, grew from it. And now, man, got us too. I don't got to tell you, the music speak for itself. I didn't heard
What
all
is
the
it?
projects
14 to 15,000 streams so far on
Man,
Apple
yes,
Music?
sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Doing big boy numbers. No label backing us other than Liquid Music Group, which is our own label. We don't need, we don't need this enemy to do numbers. We don't need this enemy to see our bank accounts go up the way they've been going up. All we need is consistency, a plan, and a detailed understanding of the traps that the enemy has set up for us in copyright law and in royalty statements.
We really need. I'm so glad you came up on here, because we were just talking about bridging the gap between the youth of our generation, the ones coming up after us, because technically I'm starting to branch into where my other brothers, Brother Elohim and DJ Rockwell, are. Technically I'm going to be in that soon, but
Man, I'm
still
25.
like
Shit.
27, 3 from 30. But what I'm saying, we need to start bridging this gap soon, and all the artists, both old and new, need access to this information, because I can't tell you the dreams that I've had with all the good talent. Let me be specific. Right. All of the good talent in the Nation of Islam.
Yeah, just
really
because you say Assalamu alaikum doesn't mean you got that heat.
Oh, that's facts. But I can't tell you, I've had dreams of all of the wonderful talent in the Nation of Islam, from the East Coast to the West Coast, going on this huge ass tour, international tour, own record label, like all NOI artists. But the thing is our message is the same, but we all have our own original ways of delivering. Even you all in the New World don't have the same sound.
Right.
And we would have that, because I believe Luke said it. The arts and culture ministry in our Nation of Islam, if we were to have the whole financial aspect, the arts and culture community could be bringing in all the bank.
And let me just say that we do have that. Like, for people who are, we go to Savior's Day and people come up to you with the shoulda, coulda, woulda. But I'm here at headquarters, bro. The fact of the matter is we have that, but it's about everything that you do, there's a proper way to do it.
Process.
And you know what I'm saying? If you don't go through that process, man, I'm here in headquarters. I still have to get on my laptop and type up a proposal, submit it through the channels, just like everybody else. I'm not here getting exclusive access. Like, Nah, bro. Like there's a proper way to do everything. And when we go through those channels, we're actually going to be not only more successful, but you're going to build more momentum because every person whose stamp of approval you get, they're now backing you. And by the time you get to like a, Minister Ishmael's office or something like that,
You've already got the backing
you
you
got some
need.
traction. You know what I'm saying? You got some steam rolling and come with your own bread. When you come to the nation, we believe in doing for self, but that starts with you first. Like if you come with an idea, but you're not putting no percentage up, nothing, like, nah, family. I can't even begin to trust you as a businessman if you're not willing to risk your own person. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan put up his crib to build this nation, took out a loan on his house, put his family in where his wife lays her head at risk to build this nation for us. And we can't put up 1,000. You know what I'm saying? So Reem, you getting we talked about it before, but you getting a verbal commitment from me, bro. Let's get the people on board for this. And then I'll put up not only money, but also skill sets to help make that thing really happen.
Yes, sir. Definitely. This episode this is what I wanted the episode to be, the start of something, because we have too much damn talent in our Nation of Islam for us not to have done anything. But we're gonna end it here at the 9:20 mark. I'm glad you were able to make it for as long as you were on here. This whole episode is chock full of good stuff, ladies and gentlemen. Feel free to watch it at any given time, whether you're streaming it on Spotify, because that's where the audio is going to be going, or you can watch it on my YouTube. But this was great. I'm glad that everyone was able to make it. So sad, brother Hashim couldn't make it, but all praise is due to Allah. The show keeps rolling. Thank you to DJ Rockwell, to Allende, who came on at the last minute, the homie, forever the homie.
Yes, sir.
Uncle and Kosi, thank you so much. And Semi, thank you. I appreciate it.
You already know, love
Praise
1,000.
to Allah. All praise is due to Allah. Well, this has been another episode of Kareem Talks. I'm your host, Kareem. Tune in next week because we'll be talking about K-pop. That's going to be interesting. All right. See ya. Stop recording. And